Hello, everyone, and welcome to another brand new episode of Topic Thunder. Here from the Top 10 Show, I am John Roca.
And I am Matt Nost, and we are here to do another edition of Topic Thunder. John, how does it work?
It works like this. Our patrons at the $5 and above level, which you can join to be a patron at www.patreon.com/the top 10, the number 10 there, and go be a part of that. $5 and above get to send in their questions, thoughts, and comments over email. The email address is in the Patreon, and only the people at the $5 and above level get access to it. They send in, we don't read these questions, thoughts, or comments. We read them on the air for the first time and react to them honestly as we read them. And that's how it goes. Matt, I think you're starting us off. What do we got?
I am. We have, this comes from Tim Williams. And he says, good day, Matt and John. Hope you've had a great day. Fellas, I wanted to talk about movie soundtracks. Do you think we have lost the greatness that once was the movie soundtrack?
Wow.
I'm not talking scores, just the mainstream movie soundtracks. Movies where songs were actually made for the specific movie. I miss watching the music videos with clips of the movie sprinkled in. I even liked when you had the stars of the movie be in the videos. Guns N' Roses, You Could Be Mine from T2 comes to mind. The video had the band playing a gig while Arnold as the T-800 walking through the crowd. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, movie soundtracks and songs in movies were a central part of movies. I had Top Gun, Dirty Dancing, Trainspotting, Pulp Fiction, just to name a few. Looking at my collection, the last one I purchased was Romeo Must Die. That was 20 years ago. There's been movies since with some good soundtracks, but nothing with multiple cracking tracks, in my opinion. Guardians is one that sticks out for today, but that was a collection of old hits. Not really any original songs made for the movie. Or maybe I'm just an old shit who shakes his fist at the young people's music today. It's personal choice, so there's no right or wrong. But I don't think for me, those old soundtracks will be top. So my question is, or are, what is your favorite soundtrack? What's the last one you purchased? Doesn't have to be physical media. What's one song, if you hear, takes you directly to that movie? And are gone of the days of iconic soundtracks with hit after hit? Are we gone of the days, I guess?
Thanks the days gone, I guess he's saying. Are those days gone? Okay.
Tim Williams.
Okay.
It's a lot to digest. All right. Do you have a favorite soundtrack?
That is really, really tough. I guess Footloose would be my favorite soundtrack from top to bottom because I like just about every song on there. And that's the way I kind of do that. Like Top Gun is in the conversation. Grease, I guess, is in the conversation too, but that's more of a musical, so I don't really count that. And Pulp Fiction is a fantastic sound. Even The Crow is a fucking great soundtrack from the 90s. But I think consistently from the first song to the last song, Footloose is probably my favorite soundtrack because I can listen to it back to back to back to back. What about you?
Yeah, I've never owned a sound. Well, I think Forrest Gump might be the only soundtrack I ever owned.
Really?
Well, because I already had all those tunes on other stuff.
Oh, gotcha.
Unless it was very specifically for that, and then I would just try and get like the single cassette or something when I was a kid.
Right.
But I rarely bought the entire sound because somebody else would, and then I'd listen to it and be like, I like a third of this. I've done that a bunch of times where you're like, oh, it's got, 3 or 4 songs from that movie, and then you listen to the soundtrack and it's fleshed out to 12, and you're like, yeah, I like 3 or 4 songs on this soundtrack. I got burned by that a couple times. I mean, the last score that I bought was Tron Legacy. Or no, Tron.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the reboot.
That's a fucking great soundtrack.
Yeah, Daft Punk's score on that. I still listen to it to this day, but that's not a soundtrack that he's talking about. Yeah, I think
that's more of a score, right? So
it is 100% a score.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think Forrest Gump might be the last one I owned.
Wow.
It was good, but it's an all churning of old hits.
Right. It's a 2 CD or 2.
Yeah, it's a 2 CD. It was like during that I was in a 2 CD craze. I had all kinds of double CDs. It was like a bigger prestige. Like this one's a double disc. I had a bunch, man. I loved those for a short time, and then eventually it's in even bulkier packaging. It's like, this is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, wow. Fucking Thrillist has Footloose at 50 out of their top 50, and that's fucking ridiculous.
Well, who's their number one?
Their one
Breakfast Club, or
their one is Purple Rain. Oh shit. Oh yeah. See, but that I
That's
don't know.
different.
Was that made for the movie, or were
Yeah.
those songs made separately? I don't know.
Purple Rain to me exists outside of the movie.
Yeah, it feels like, right?
That's I think
Hmm.
a horse of a different color. But I mean,
Yeah.
you could make obviously the case they are, and I bet you a bunch of people differ from us, but
Yeah.
Purple Rain's something. It's a different animal.
I don't think it counts as a full soundtrack because it doesn't include the Times songs and it doesn't include Apollonia songs, Vanity Six's songs or Vanity songs. So to me, it isn't a full soundtrack. It's songs from the soundtrack, but it's not the full soundtrack. So I think I would ding it for the technicality of that.
Yeah. What else does Thrill List have?
Help from the Beatles.
Okay.
But I feel like that wasn't created for the movie, right?
Yeah. I don't know that for a fact. You know the Beatles better than I do, but that's always existed outside of as well.
Yes, absolutely. Like Hard Day's Night, that the music wasn't composed for the movie. It was composed ahead of time. Curtis Mayfield's Superfly. I only know one song off that. So
yeah, me too.
Pusher Man. So I don't know.
It's a great song.
It is. They also have Dazed and Confused, but that's a collection. That doesn't count.
Yeah, not for what Tim is asking for. Yeah,
right.
It's a great soundtrack, but it's
Train Spotting, also pretty much a collection. Oh, Saturday Night Fever. That was made for the movie for sure.
Okay. I mean, there's two songs on it that I like.
Oh, okay.
I'd have to see the track list to be honest, but I can only think of like two off the top of my head.
Yeah. Staying Alive, How Deep Is Your Love, More Than a Woman. There's a bunch of them.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
I've got it as it's a double record. I bought it when I first got my
oh really
player. Yeah, it's a double record. There's a lot of songs on that soundtrack. Rushmore, okay.
Were the songs made for that movie? I don't
feel like they were, right? The Faces, no, they certainly wasn't if the Faces were on there. The Graduate is interesting because Simon and Garfunkel were making that the songs. A couple of the songs are for the movie, but the other songs they'd already kind of written. So, yeah. Okay.
I'll have to take your word on that. I don't know.
Pulp Fiction.
Collection of, I mean, it introduced us to a bunch of music that we had never heard.
True. Very true. Above the Rim. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? But that's all pre-written music because those are all standards from bluegrass. A lot of them are or gospel, so it doesn't really count, I think.
But the Man of Constant Sorrow, I believe, is an original.
That's an original, right? But like I'll Fly Away, Down to the River to Pray, Oh Death, those are old ones. Shaft, maybe Isaac Hayes' soundtrack for Shaft. Maybe.
I mean, I know the one song off the top of my head.
Yeah. Goodfellas.
Once again, a collection of.
It is a collection. You're right.
Of movies, songs from the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Do the Right Thing. That's a good soundtrack.
Okay.
Those are all new songs. That's for sure. But I don't know if Fight the Power was written ahead of time or not. So. American Graffiti, that's a double one, but that's also a compilation, as you said. So I don't know, dude. Clueless, Wild Style.
Because your biggest ones would be like Titanic, because My Heart Will Go On.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Or Kiss from a Rose for Batman Forever.
Right.
But then the rest of that, I don't know a single other song from that soundtrack, to be honest.
Yeah, Kiss from a Rose, Batman Forever, it has about 4 good songs on it.
Okay.
There's a great Everything But the Girl, Hunter Plays the Game song. I think there's a Massive Attack song on there as well. And then one other one.
Is it really?
I think.
I didn't think Massive Attack was around at that point. I don't know their timeline, but in my head, it's like early 2000s is when they came into my worldview.
Let's take a look, man, because I think there's about 4. And then and Pretty in Pink is a fucking great soundtrack from I think that's the best of all.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of 80s.
Yeah,
your Breakfast Clubs, your Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
Fast Times is good. That's true. So Batman Forever has Hold Me, Throw Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me from U2, which I think is good.
It's not. I literally listened to it the other day because of, Settle the Score. I've gone through
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I have gone through so many movies. Like, dude, good luck finding a song from Wolf of Wall Street. And in the IMDb credits, there's like 50.
Holy shit!
But
Wow.
that's a
That's a
hyperbole,
3-hour
but I'd
movie.
say there's 25. I would legitimately say there's 25. But they all
Yeah.
play for like 3 seconds here, in the background for 7 seconds there. This 27-second interstitial, or like when they're, the camera is passing through the office and you're like, you can't use that shit. It's a great soundtrack, but it's like,
Yeah.
I don't think that shit counts.
Okay. PJ Harvey, One Time Too Many.
For which?
For This Is Batman Forever.
Okay.
Hunter gets captured by the game. That is Tracy Thorn, but it's with Massive Attack. So Massive Attack is on the soundtrack with Tracy Horn. Right?
Nice pull.
Yeah, I like Tracy Thorn. She's the lead singer of a group, Everything But the Girl. And I've been a fan of theirs for decades before they went into the dance shit with Missing. Before that, they had done some music that I really like. And so hearing her voice with Massive Attack, and she did 3 songs with Massive Attack. And the other 2 were on an album with Massive Attack. So she's great. Maisie Starr's on this. The Offspring's in this. Nick Cave is in this.
Yeah.
Soundtrack. Wow. All right. A rare Michael Hutchins appearance as a solo artist, and the Flaming Lips. All right. So that's Batman Forever.
That is Batman Forever. What was the last one you purchased?
Soundtrack or scores?
Soundtrack.
It's been a bit, man. Because I
And
usually
he said it doesn't have to be physical media. I think once again, Forrest Gump might be the last one that I've maybe Pulp Fiction, but I don't remember owning.
Probably Oh Brother. Probably
Okay.
Oh Brother on CD. Yeah. As far as scores, if Tron Legacy counts, then Tron Legacy was. Oh no,
Yeah.
Man of Steel. Man of Steel was my last one that I purchased in terms of scores. I love that Hans Zimmer score. Love it.
It's a good score.
Man of Steel. Yeah. But his initial question, I think what's happening is that we're getting incredible composers that are how can I say this correctly? There's more movies coming out. So there's more opportunities for us to discover incredible composers. So naturally, there's not just going to be 3 or 4 that we focus on like we've had in decades past. So I think that there's actually more composers of greater quality than there have been in the past because they're getting more opportunities to show how great their quality is with different types of films, with all kinds of original content being out there. Even the TV shows, are
and you can
some great stuff.
Ping around from all kinds of different, because so many different things get greenlit.
Yes.
Abstract ideas or this crazy comedy or whatever else. You can kind of like bounce around and do a whole bunch of different things.
Right.
I never thought of such and such for this kind of drama. And just like, they were perfect. But because of the generation of so much content and TV not being the, bastard stepchild of entertainment, mass entertainment.
Good point.
All right. Well, I think that's a solid opening. So thank you, Tim Williams. We appreciate the question. All right, let's move on.
Thank you, Tim. Let's see where we at here. And the next one is from the Chapman family. Hey, John and Matt, hope you are both well. As we enter our 9 millionth day of the lockdown here in Melbourne, another Australian, I wanted to give you an update on my friend Josh Smith and his American football adventure. All right, Josh will play his first official game for Kent State University on September 4th versus Texas A&M. Hope you'll both check it out. We certainly will be down here. Cheers and stay safe. Cam Chapman. P.S. Link below for Josh's profile at Kent State University. Didn't we? Well, this is September 4th.
He tweeted us.
He tweeted us. Yeah, he told us that he had become player of the week or something like that. So
on opening week, I believe.
Yeah.
It was right around the beginning of September. We got that from him. We both were like, "Oh, that is awesome."
Yes. Yes.
But I mean, that's sometimes the backlog on.
Yeah.
Because we'll do some shows 1 question, other shows 3 questions, 4 questions.
Yeah.
So we're a month behind on this one, but we hope he's doing well. I haven't checked in since that first game because I'm a little lapse on my Kent State football following. It doesn't pop up on my radar, and that is not me slagging off on Kent State.
A little bit.
I don't follow any college football.
That's true. You don't follow
So
any college football.
I
That's for
stopped
sure.
watching all college sports by and large. I watched like the really huge games,
Yes, yes,
but I
yes.
don't care because it just looks like a sloppy product to me.
Yeah.
Maybe now with these kids officially getting paid above board,
They're making some money.
they are making some money.
Yeah.
I don't know if the figures are still holding, but it was speculative that who was it? Was it Kiffin that was talking about Alabama's
Lane.
quarterback
Yeah.
in the offseason saying, look, I think he's going to make $1 million this year.
Yeah. Woof.
Um,
Woof daddy. $1 million.
with sponsorship as an 18-year-old, hasn't played a snap.
Yeah.
That's just how lucrative now certain schools have a tremendous advantage. And Kent State can still put it together. So we're pulling for Kent State.
They're 1-3 right now, Kent State. Tough schedule. They scheduled 2 ranked opponents in their first 4 games. So rough start to the season, 41-10. They lost to Texas A&M, who's coached by Jimbo Fisher, former FSU coach and national champion with FSU. He's 41-10. But in that game, Josh averaged 41. He punted 8 times, never a good thing.
No.
For an average of 40.2 yards. But then they won their next game, though. They destroyed VMI. I think it was like 60-7 or something like that. And Josh kicked once for 44 yards. So shout out to that, your offense. But then they played Iowa and got decimated by Iowa, who's ranked number 5 at the time. But he punted 7 times for an average of 31.6 yards, and then punted 3 times in the game after that when they lost to Maryland, I think 37-16. And he punted
they got a
3
Big
times.
Ten heavy schedule here.
Yeah, very Big Ten heavy schedule for sure. So, but yeah, he played. Prior to Kent State, Aussie punter trained at Pro Kick Australia, and he played Australian rules football for 15 years. So shout out to Josh Smith.
Good luck to you.
I'd
be curious to know what the average punt length so far in college football, because that 40 in the first game is like you're booting the ball.
Yeah, I think that's why he was player of the week or whatever.
It had to be. Just like you're crushing it. Your punting is the only thing that's stopping them from racking up 70 points today.
Yeah.
Just because you're slowing them down because they have to chunk out an extra 20 to 30 yards every time.
Yeah.
So God bless you. You saved us a lot of face. That's my guess. I didn't see the game. 8 punts is a lot of fucking punts.
For one game, that's a lot of
one game
punts.
That's a lot of fucking punts.
A lot of 3 and outs, man. That's a lot of 3 and outs.
They look like the stat sheet from Justin Fields' first game.
Punts, Lord.
Punts. Hey, we got 6
tough.
yards on this one. With sacks, it's back to 0. It's fine though. I still think we're going to be roughly about what we were, which is 7-10, 8-9. I think
you really think that?
I genuinely. The only thing that kills me about us is the lapses in our secondary is uncharacteristic for us, and we've had a couple times where we're like, what's going on, guys?
Yeah,
I'm not mad yet. I'm just confused because the defense we're always good on defense.
Right. Yes, I was surprised by the game. Yeah. But then again, I mean, like, do you think it's time for Nagy? Do you think it's time to go?
Quite possibly.
Okay.
I don't know who specifically is out there just yet.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who is out there, man?
I know. Every once and again, there's somebody that you can look at like a coordinator or whatnot and be like, that dude would be good for us. But it's almost like the list of names you hear percolating up. That's when I find out about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like I come into it going, who'd be good is such and such. Because I also don't know all the assistant coaches' names across all the different fucking teams.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But quite possibly, sure. I think Dalton needs to come back and start again.
Dalton, you do? Okay.
I would rather Fields like, listen, we're going to use you, bring you in more and more and more, but get you up to game speed.
Right.
This game moves a lot quicker. Otherwise, I mean, you hope he'd end up like a Peyton Manning, where the first season is what Josh Lawrence looks like he's going through, throwing a lot of picks. It's not going well.
Right.
Who knows how much help you have around you, although Peyton's, I think, was worse.
I agree. I think Peyton's was much worse.
Yeah.
Well, they're already looking at his hand. That's the scary part. is they're already looking at Fields'
Oh,
hand. Like
I
they're
had not
doing-
heard that.
Yeah, I read that this morning, and because I was setting my fantasy lineups this morning, and that apparently they did X-rays on his hand to see what was going on with his hand and see if he's going to start on Sunday or not.
Fucking
That's scary.
fantasy. Last week, I would have beat everybody except the guy I was playing by 20 or 25 points minimum. I think a couple people I would have beaten by 60 or 65.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I lost by 15. We both had monster days, and I lost by 15. Yeah.
That always sucks, man.
Tip my cap to him. I won't say who it is, but every year I kick this person's ass twice in a season. So when he beats me by that much, you're like, good for you. This year, I genuinely do think you got a good team.
You know what? Good for you.
Fast 5-6, just like you were drafting blind. He would check out of the draft early and be like, hey, just pick me up a defense and kicker and something else. I don't know what I need. And he would leave the live draft.
Good for you, Spider. Good for you.
Yeah. Well, I think he does it just to have the camaraderie because it's all
Oh, of
a big
course.
group of friends.
Yeah, it's fun.
He wants to win, but he doesn't give a shit at the same time. Just
Right,
like,
right.
I like doing the live draft, and then we talk shit on a text thread during the season.
Why wouldn't you, man? It's fun.
Yeah.
None of
But-
we usually have two leagues that we do with my friends, but the COVID thing has kind of turned them off. So I had to go and sign up for Yahoo. And so I joined 8 leagues in Yahoo fantasy football. And it's kind of nice when you win the second weekend I won 7 out of 8. And then this weekend I lost 5 out of 8.
course.
So it's just the balance. But that being said, I mean, I'm loving it this year. Whereas last year I was really not into it. This year I'm super into it. So I'm enjoying what's happening.
Man, last year was the most bitter pill.
Yeah.
I crushed the league and I lost in the finals.
Oh, really?
I was
Fuck.
4 games above number 2.
Yeah.
I had almost doubled last place's score. I just got lucky on so I really liked Dalvin Cook and going to the draft, and I drafted like 7th position. I got him, and then I ended up with Jones from Green Bay.
Oh yeah, Aaron Jones, yeah.
And a couple other guys, Justin Jefferson. I was like, you know what? I like him. He should end up as the number 2 in Minnesota type of thing. And he ended up becoming basically the number 1. I lucked out there. I liked him. I drafted him, but
Right.
I didn't think he was going to do that. I thought he'd be solid. I was like, I think he could end up getting me 8 to 9 points consistently. And that's
Sure.
I want to get to double digits. I want every player just consistently get me 10 points or better.
Right.
My defense is the only thing I'm really struggling on right now.
Yeah, I took the Redskins defense and I am eating shit for it right now.
I drafted Baltimore and Pittsburgh, thinking one of the 2 of them would go off, and they've both been dog shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been rough, dude. Oh, I hear you, man.
But what are you going to do? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Yeah, it's about
Tip my
playing.
cap to that guy last week, and I texted him, was like, congratulations, you beat me up.
You kicked the shit out of me.
You did. Boy, there's nothing you can say when you're looking at the whole time. Just like, my dude's doing great. His is doing just that much better. Like, I've got Herbert. He has Josh Allen.
Yeah. Justin Herbert.
Yeah. They both had 4 TD days. Just like,
Yep.
Okay, I didn't make up any ground there.
Again, I'd like to point out, I picked the Herbert thing. I had a feeling about that guy. So I had a feeling
because I don't watch
on our
college,
Game
but-
Time show.
What, before last season?
Oh yeah, like when he was drafted, I said this guy is going to make the easiest transition into the NFL. Just because I'd seen the games with Oregon and I was like, this kid can play. Like he gets it. When you watch quarterbacks from Bama or fucking Oklahoma and you go, they're just doing this because it's a smaller ball and it's college. But they're not going to be able to transfer these skills against faster defenders, against men and faster defenders who are coming through the line. They're going to be scared. But Herbert was really calm, and he played all 4 years at Oregon. So I just had a feeling about a kid like that. Reminded me a little bit of Duncan. He had that kind of composure. So when he came in for Tyrod Taylor last year, I wasn't surprised to see they weren't winning games, but they were only losing games by like 3 to 5 points. So that means that kid knows how to keep that. And then when they beat the Chiefs, I wasn't surprised one bit that they beat the Chiefs.
Chiefs seem so arrogant this year.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, they kind of got a little bit of the Patriots disease.
It's just we know we're better. He's like,
Yeah.
well, then you need to stop waiting until the end of the fourth quarter to prove it.
Yeah, we're gonna flip the switch when we feel like it. Nope,
It
that's not how it works.
doesn't work in the NFL like that.
Exactly.
Anyway,
So yeah.
well, good luck to
Yes,
your boy,
Josh. Yeah.
Cam. We hope he's doing well.
Yeah.
Keep those punting averages up, and
Come on, kid.
give us progress reports.
Absolutely. Give us progress reports. Tweet at us. We like seeing that for sure. All right. Where are we good? I think we're good. Are we good? We're at 25 minutes. You want to do one more?
Sure. Let's do one more. So we'll skip that one. Go to the next.
Okay. Go ahead, brother.
This comes from Chris Lemke and says, "What's up, guys?
Oh, Lemke.
I know this is less Nost's bag, but we are getting back to a really exciting time in professional wrestling.
Hey-o.
I grew up with it in the 80s, got sucked back in during the Monday Night Wars, and was off and for a while until some of my good friends started to become pretty reputable pro wrestling reporters. Now we get together every year and go to a few big shows and WrestleManias. I honestly don't have any real time to watch the weekly program, so it's always just reading recaps. I do love going to the shows and have been to some awesome ones, including Punk's comeback in Chicago.
That's awesome.
Do you have any really fond memories of wrestling? And John, what are you most looking forward to with this new era? The best there is, was, and ever will be. Lemke.
Fond memories of wrestling? Sure. I mean, just the 90s as a whole, as a decade, that was just a great time to see wrestling change from what it was with the characters that I grew up on in the 80s, and then seeing it change along with my age. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the people who were in their 20s when I was in my 20s in the 90s, we are the ones that wanted something else, something real from wrestling. We wanted it to progress past characters, which is why I had stopped watching in the late 80s, early 90s, because I was like, this all just fucking Tatanka and shit. I'm like, I can't get into this. And then all of a sudden Hogan turned heel, and even Hogan in WCW, like initially I was on, and then I was like, it's the same shit, red and yellow. I've seen it already. And when Hogan turned heel, everything changed. And in that moment, you got to see that the anti-hero was actually what was interesting. And it was reflected in our movies as well, in our culture. The Sopranos isn't that far away. The Wire isn't that far away. So this idea of anti-heroes, and you see it in pro wrestling really kind of, and people won't give it its credit, but it kind of broke ground on that. It showed you that you could cheer for someone and understand why they're a heel, or understand why they're a face, or understand why they do some nefarious things, or why they do some questionable things when they're supposed to be a good guy, because the overall goal is to keep evil at bay, you know? And so you see that, and it's up to you to decide. So I love that. And seeing the Monday Night Wars is the second coming of wrestling. Like the golden era is the 80s. The second coming is the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars. And then it's been fun to see women's wrestling kind of blow up recently. That's been great. Okay. And it's been great to see all these great athletes doing their thing. And now what I look for is healthy competition between AEW and WWE, motivating, better matches, better characters, new athletes to step forward who you didn't think would step forward, new stars to come forward, and innovation to happen now for this era of professional wrestling. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That was a well thought out answer. I only know the 80s, and then
fair enough.
Like see the promos for what was upcoming. I remember when Hogan went to bad, but I didn't watch at that point. And Sting started dressing like the Crow, but I didn't watch it. I just knew it existed.
Right.
And then everything that's happening now. I have heard about the CM Punk coming back, but at the same time, I've never watched him wrestle a single second.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I know the name just because it's so unique.
Of course.
But yeah, it was all 80s for me. So everything that had to do, I mean, it was so jacked to see No Holds Barred.
Oh, yeah.
So jacked.
That film.
I loved the 80s. Right, that was at the very tail end of it for me, basically.
Yeah. But that film, woof.
Yeah, no, it's not good. But I was excited to see it. I love the Saturday morning cartoon. I was a huge fan of that.
Oh yeah, rock and roll, rock and wrestling. Yeah,
Captain Lou pop up in Cyndi Lauper videos. Loved it. all of the pop culture stuff.
Yeah.
It was great. I still remember being crushed when I found out that it was all fake.
Oh, yeah, right. That's the day
Just-
you wake up.
Yeah, utterly crushed. And like, oh, it's not fake.
It's Santa Day. Like it's the
Yes.
day you realize Santa's fake.
Yeah, but the difference there is my brother killed the idea of Santa Claus, whereas my parents killed the idea of wrestling. It destroyed my brother and I. So I suffered it alone in the Santa. At least in wrestling, we suffered together.
My dad didn't know because obviously my dad didn't have necessarily strong pro wrestling stuff. Although they do have it in South America, my dad it wasn't his deal. So when he came to America and he saw and when I was born and as I got older started watching the stuff, my dad didn't know it was fake, right? He didn't understand like some of the and
Mhm.
I remember we watched I know we got to wrap up. We watched that WrestleMania 2 I think it was a Friday night's main event or something like that, and King Kong Bundy was splashing Hogan so much that this welt appeared on Hogan's stomach, like right on his diaphragm area, and my father got sick. He was just like, "What?" He goes, "This is I can't," and he almost threw up in the bathroom, and he never watched professional wrestling again. He used to watch with me for shits and giggles, and it was like, but he but then he would, like, when he saw that, it was like that was the end for him. So I had the luxury of my father not knowing it was real or not, and then when I was 14 or 15 or maybe earlier, 13 or 12, is when I was told that it was fake, it wasn't real. And yeah, that's the Santa Claus day. You're just like, what no,
Yeah. But
anyway, yep.
I think he reached out to us leaving a WrestleMania, like he was on a live show or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
Watching along on YouTube.
Cool. Well, there you go. All right. Well, thank you to everyone who sent in questions here for Topic Thunder. We appreciate it madly. Always fun to catch up with you all and hear your thoughts and points of views. Thank you to Tim Williams. Thank you to Chapman family. Thank you to Lemke, Machine Gun Lemke, for sending those in. Matt, what do we have to tell them?
Please follow the show on Twitter at Top 10 Show, and on Instagram and YouTube, it is /the Top 10 Podcast with the number 10. And you can follow me anywhere at Matt Nost.
You can follow me at The Roca Says on Twitter and on Instagram, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of Topic
Thunder.